Captain Robert Nash stood at the bridge of the U.S. Valiant, his eyes fixed on the massive view screen before him. The strange signal they had picked up from Epsilon Eridani hadn't stopped for 3 days straight. It pulsed with an odd rhythm that made his skin crawl. "Dr. Pierce, what do you make of this?" he asked, turning to the ship's lead xenobiologist. Dr. Amanda Pierce hadn't left the bridge since they first detected the signal. Dark circles under her eyes showed her exhaustion, but her excitement was clear in her voice. "It's definitely artificial, Captain. The pattern is too regular to be natural. Someone out there is trying to talk to us." She brushed her graying hair from her face, leaning closer to her display. "And they're using mathematics as a base language." Lieutenant Christopher Hayes spoke up from his tactical station, his young face reflecting the blue glow of his screens. "Sir, the signal is getting stronger. Whatever's sending it is getting closer." Nash nodded slowly. After years of space exploration, humanity had finally found proof of alien life. The thought both thrilled and worried him. "All stations, yellow alert. Let's not take any chances." The bridge crew worked in tense silence as the minutes ticked by. Suddenly, Hayes straightened in his chair. "Captain, 3 objects just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They're big, really big." The view screen shifted to show 3 sleek vessels, each easily twice the size of the Valiant. Their hulls seemed to shimmer with an odd pearl-like shine that made them hard to look at directly. "They're broadcasting again," Hayes reported. "Different signal this time. I think it's a translation matrix." Dr. Pierce's fingers flew across her console. "He's right. They're teaching us their language in real time. This is incredible." Her voice shook with excitement. "The computer is already building a basic translation program." Nash took a deep breath. "Open a channel. Let's say hello." The alien ships responded immediately. A face appeared on the view screen. At least Nash thought it was a face. The being had smooth, silvery skin that rippled like mercury, with large, dark eyes that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. When it spoke, its voice was surprisingly musical. "Greetings, humans of the vessel Valiant. We are the Nexari. We come in peace and friendship." The next few days were a whirlwind of diplomatic meetings and cultural exchanges. The Nexari seemed eager to share their knowledge, particularly about advanced propulsion systems and energy generation. They invited a small delegation aboard their flagship for what they called a sharing of minds. But something wasn't quite right. Dr. Pierce noticed it first. During their 3rd meeting with the Nexari, she saw how their movements changed when they thought no one was watching, becoming more rigid, almost mechanical. She shared her concerns with Nash in private. "There's something off about their behavior patterns," she explained in his ready room. "They mirror our movements too perfectly when we're talking to them, but when they think we're not paying attention, they move completely differently. It's like they're wearing a mask." Nash had noticed odd things too. The Nexari never talked about their homeworld, always deflecting questions about their origins, and Hayes had reported strange energy readings from their ships, readings that seemed to bend the laws of physics. On the 5th day, Hayes made a disturbing discovery. "Captain," he called out, his voice tight with concern. "I've been analyzing those energy signatures from the Nexari ships. They're not normal engine emissions. They're reality distortions." Nash turned sharply. "What do you mean, reality distortions?" "The space around their ships isn't just bent, sir. It's being actively rewritten. And the effect is spreading." Hayes pulled up a diagram showing expanding waves of distortion emanating from the Nexari vessels. "They're changing the fundamental nature of space-time around us." Before Nash could respond, the ship's lights flickered. Outside the view screen, space itself seemed to ripple like water. "Sir," Hayes shouted, "the Nexari ships, they're changing configuration." The beautiful pearl-like vessels transformed before their eyes. Their smooth surfaces cracked and shifted, revealing dark, angular forms underneath. The mercury-skinned aliens on the view screen flickered like bad holograms, their true forms emerging, crystalline beings with sharp edges and void black cores. You have been assessed. The Nexeri leader's voice had lost its musical quality, becoming a harsh, grating sound. Your species shows remarkable potential for reality manipulation. You will be harvested. Nash didn't hesitate. Red alert. All hands to battle stations. Hayes, get us out of here. The Valiant's engines roared to life, but the space around them had become thick, like trying to run through syrup. The Nexeri ships began emitting pulses of dark energy that made reality itself scream. "Sir," Hayes called out, his voice steady despite the chaos, "I'm recording everything. These energy signatures, they're weapons. Earth needs to know what we're dealing with." Nash gripped his chair as another reality wave washed over the ship. "Dr. Pierce, what are they doing to space-time?" She worked frantically at her station, analyzing the readings. "They're not just bending reality, Captain. They're rewriting it. These beings, they're not from our universe. They're invasion scouts, looking for realities they can consume." The ship shuddered as another pulse hit them. Through the view screen, they could see space itself starting to crack, showing something dark and impossible behind it. "Emergency jump," Nash ordered. "Get us back to Earth. Now." The Valiant's emergency faster-than-light drive engaged just as another reality wave reached them. The ship screamed through space, its hull groaning under the strain of reality trying to rewrite itself around them. They had escaped, but they all knew this was just the beginning. As the Valiant raced back to Earth, Nash looked at the sensor logs showing the reality distortion spreading through the Epsilon Eridani system. "Send an encrypted transmission to Earth Defense Command," he ordered. "Priority 1. Tell them." He paused, watching another crack appear in space behind them. "Tell them we're at war. And our enemy doesn't just want to defeat us. They want to rewrite the very reality we exist in." The crew of the Valiant worked in grim silence as they headed home, each lost in their own thoughts about what they had discovered. They had gone looking for alien life and found something far worse. Beings that could bend and break the laws of reality itself. Earth would need new weapons, new defenses, but more than that, they would need the courage to face an enemy that could rewrite the very fabric of existence. As Nash watched his crew work, he saw that courage in their faces, in their determined movements. The Nexeri had made a crucial mistake. They had revealed themselves too soon, given humanity a chance to prepare. And if there was one thing Captain Nash knew about humans, it was their incredible ability to adapt and overcome. The real question was, could humanity create weapons to fight beings that could rewrite reality before the Nexeri returned in force? As the Valiant hurled through space toward Earth, Nash knew they were about to find out. Behind them, in the darkness of space, reality continued to crack. Admiral Jennifer Cole stood in the massive underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, her face illuminated by the soft blue glow of dozens of holographic screens. The U.S. Valiant's report had changed everything. Earth had 3 months, maybe less, before the Nexeri returned in force. "Show me the prototype again, Dr. Wright," she commanded. Dr. Samuel Wright, a tall man with kind eyes and nervous hands, stepped forward. He pressed a button, and a section of the floor opened up. A strange device rose from below. It looked like a cannon, but parts of it seemed to fade in and out of existence. "We call it the reality shifter," he said, his voice quiet but excited. "We've been working on it in secret for 5 years, ever since we detected the first strange readings from deep space." Chief Engineer Paul Martinez walked around the device, checking readings on his tablet. His dark eyes narrowed as he studied the numbers. "The power consumption is still too high, but it works. God help us, it actually works." Admiral Cole watched as they activated the device for a demonstration. In the testing chamber, a beam of shifting light struck a target. The metal cube didn't just melt or explode. Parts of it simply stopped existing, while other parts twisted into impossible shapes. Explain it to me again, she said. In simple terms. Dr. Wright nodded. Think of reality like a piece of cloth. The Nexari can tear and reshape that cloth. But with this weapon, we can do the same thing. We can change the rules of physics in a small area. Make things that were impossible become possible. Or make things that were possible become impossible, Martinez added. Like making it impossible for a ship's hull to hold together, or making their weapons simply stop working. Cole walked closer to the device. And you're sure humans can control this safely? That's where I come in, a new voice said. A younger scientist named Linda Baker stepped forward, holding what looked like a modified pilot's helmet. The human mind is surprisingly good at handling impossible things. We've developed a neural interface that lets our soldiers control these reality distortions without going insane. The Admiral picked up the helmet, turning it in her hands. How many ships can we equip with this technology in 3 months? Martinez consulted his tablet. With full emergency protocols and worldwide cooperation, we can convert 6 ships into what we're calling the Reality-Shattering battle group. The U.S. Nemesis will be ready first. She's already in orbit, hidden from normal sensors. Cole nodded slowly. Show me the ships. The holographic displays change, showing 4 massive vessels under construction in secret facilities around the world. They look different from normal spaceships. Their hulls were covered in patterns that hurt the eyes to look at, and strange devices dotted their surfaces. Each ship has a different focus, Martinez explained. The Nemesis is our main reality-shaping weapon platform. The Quantum Dawn specializes in reality-based defense. Reality's Edge is our scout and fast attack ship. And the Paradox. He paused, looking troubled. The Paradox is our last resort. It can create a cascade effect that could rewrite reality across an entire star system. The problem is, Dr. Wright added, we don't fully understand how these weapons will affect space-time in the long term. We're playing with forces that could unravel the universe itself. Admiral Cole watched as another test target was twisted into impossible shapes by the reality shifter. Do we have a choice? No, Linda said firmly. The Nexari will rewrite our reality anyway. At least this way we have a chance to fight back. A young officer rushed into the room, holding a tablet. Admiral, we've just detected reality distortions in the Kuiper Belt. The Nexari are testing our outer defenses. Cole straightened her uniform. How long have we really got? A month, the officer replied. Maybe less. Then we don't have time for more tests. Cole turned to the assembled team. Dr. Wright, your project just became Earth's top priority. I want the Nemesis ready in 2 weeks. Martinez, you have 3 weeks for the Quantum Dawn and Reality's Edge. The Paradox. She paused. The Paradox needs to be ready in a month. Ma'am, Martinez said carefully, rushing this technology could be dangerous. Not as dangerous as letting the Nexari rewrite our existence, Cole replied. She turned to Linda. How many neural interface pilots do we have ready? 12 that have passed all tests. We can rush another 30 through basic training in 2 weeks. It won't be enough for full crews, but it's enough to operate the main weapons. Cole nodded. Do it. And find us more candidates. Look for people with high creative thinking scores and strong mental stability. We need pilots who can imagine the impossible without breaking. Over the next few weeks, the underground facility became a hive of activity. More secret bases around the world sprang into action. The Reality-Shattering battle group took shape in hidden orbital shipyards, their impossible geometries hidden from conventional sensors. Dr. Wright worked tirelessly, improving the reality shifters and teaching pilots how to use them. Linda trained crew after crew, helping them understand how to think about space and time in new ways. Martinez pushed construction teams to their limits, building ships that twisted the fabric of reality itself. Admiral Cole watched it all, feeling the weight of command more heavily than ever before. She studied reports of more reality distortions in the outer solar system. The Nexari were coming, testing their defenses, probing for weaknesses. 1 month after the project went into emergency status, Cole stood on the bridge of the U.S. Nemesis. Through the view screen, she could see the other ships of the Reality-Shattering battle group taking formation. Their hulls shimmed with impossible colors, and space itself seemed to bend around them. "Status report," she commanded. "Reality shifters are online." Linda reported from her station, her neural interface helmet glowing softly. "All pilots report ready for reality manipulation." "Engineering reports all systems nominal," Martinez added from his position. "Though I still say nominal is a relative term when we're breaking the laws of physics." Dr. Wright looked up from his instruments. "Reality fabric is stable, but we're detecting more distortions from the outer system. The Nexari are getting closer." Cole nodded, watching as another reality ripple passed through the fleet. The ship's new shields absorbed it, turning the energy into power for their own weapons. They were as ready as they'd ever be. "Send word to Earth Defense Command," she ordered. "The Reality-Shattering battle group is operational. We'll hold position behind Jupiter's orbit and wait for the Nexari." She looked at her crew, seeing the mix of fear and determination on their faces. "What we're about to do has never been done before. We're going to fight an enemy that can rewrite reality itself. But remember, now we can do it too." As if in response to her words, another reality distortion rippled through space. But this time, it was different. Stronger, more purposeful. "Admiral," Dr. Wright called out, his voice tense. "Long-range sensors are detecting multiple reality tiers forming. Large ones. The Nexari aren't testing anymore," Linda added. "This is it. They're coming." Cole straightened in her command chair. "All ships, battle stations, prepare reality shifters." She watched as space itself began to crack in front of them. "Let's show them they're not the only ones who can break reality." Security officer Lisa Morgan didn't trust her own eyes anymore. As she walked through the crowded streets of New Chicago, she kept seeing things that couldn't be real, shadows that moved the wrong way, people whose faces seemed to shift when she wasn't looking directly at them, and buildings that changed shape in her peripheral vision. Another distortion at 5th and Madison. She spoke quietly into her wrist communicator. "Third one today." "Confirmed," Daniel White's voice crackled through her earpiece. The communications specialist had been her partner for the past month, helping track reality anomalies on Earth. "Dr. Burns wants you to check it out. She thinks these aren't just random effects from the space battles." Lisa changed direction, heading toward the reported distortion. Above her, the sky flickered oddly, a side effect of the ongoing fight between human and Nexari forces in orbit. The Reality-Shattering battle group was holding its own, but the cost was becoming clear. Reality itself was starting to break down. She found the distortion in an alley behind a coffee shop. The air shimmered like heat waves, and a garbage can seem to exist in 3 places at once. As she watched, a stray cat walked through the area and split into 2 cats, then merged back into one. "I'm at the site," she reported. "It's getting worse. The effects are lasting longer." She pulled out her reality scanner, a new device developed by Dr. Catherine Burns and her team. "Getting some strange readings here." The scanner showed complex patterns of reality disruption, but something was different about this one. It wasn't chaotic like the usual fallout from space battles. This distortion had structure. "Daniel," she said slowly, "I don't think this is random. This looks like..." A sound behind her made her turn. A man stood there, but something was wrong with his shape. His edges weren't quite solid, and his eyes were like black holes. "Nexari," Lisa shouted, drawing her weapon. But the infiltrator was faster. Reality warped around him, and suddenly Lisa was shooting at empty air. The creature had shifted itself through a different layer of existence. "All units," she yelled into her communicator. "We have confirmation of Nexari infiltrators on Earth. They're using small-scale reality manipulation to hide among us." Dr. Catherine Burns was already calling an emergency meeting when Lisa arrived at headquarters 30 minutes later. The psychological warfare expert had predicted something like this might happen. The Nexari aren't just trying to break our reality from the outside, Dr. Burns explained to the assembled team. Her red hair was messy from running her hands through it too many times. They're changing it from within. Each of these distortions is like a seed, growing roots into our reality. Daniel pulled up a map showing hundreds of reality distortion points across the globe. They're everywhere. But why? Why not just hit us with their big ships? Because they're smart, Lisa said, still shaken from her encounter. They know we can fight their ships now. So they're trying something subtler, changing our reality bit by bit, making us doubt what's real and what isn't. Dr. Burns nodded. The psychological impact is devastating. People are starting to experience reality shifts. Some see things that aren't there, others can't see things that are. It's breaking down society's basic trust in what's real. How do we fight something like this? Daniel asked, watching as more distortion points appeared on the map. We adapt, Lisa said firmly. She picked up one of Dr. Burns' reality scanners. These can detect the distortions. We need to mass-produce them, get them to every law enforcement agency, every emergency response team. And we need to warn people, Dr. Burns added. But carefully. If we cause panic, it'll only make things worse. Over the next few days, they put their plan into action. Lisa led teams of security officers equipped with reality scanners, hunting down Nexari infiltrators. It wasn't easy. The aliens could shift between different versions of reality, making them hard to catch. But humans had one advantage. They understood their own reality better than the Nexari did. Daniel coordinated communications, setting up secure networks that couldn't be disrupted by reality shifting. He discovered that old analog technology was more resistant to the Nexari's influence than modern digital systems. Dr. Burns worked with affected civilians, helping them cope with the psychological trauma of seeing reality break down. She developed techniques to help people ground themselves in what was real, teaching them to trust their instincts when something felt wrong. But the Nexari were crafty. They started targeting Earth's information networks, spreading confusion and doubt. News reports would change while people watched them. Historical records would shift, showing events that never happened. The very fabric of human society began to fray. They're trying to make us doubt everything, Lisa said during another emergency meeting. She looked tired. They all did. Fighting an enemy that could change reality was exhausting. If we can't trust what we see, what we remember, how can we fight back? We use their weakness against them, Dr. Burns replied. She turned on a holographic display showing brainwave patterns. The Nexari don't understand human consciousness. They can change physical reality, but they can't easily alter how we think, how we feel. Our minds are naturally resistant to their reality manipulation. Daniel leaned forward, interested. That's why they have to hide among us instead of just rewriting us out of existence. Exactly. Human consciousness is like an anchor point in reality. The more people believe in something, the harder it is for the Nexari to change it. Lisa stood up suddenly. Then that's how we fight them. We don't just hunt them. We strengthen our reality. Get people to focus on what they know is real, what they believe in. Dr. Burns smiled. Precisely. The Nexari can bend reality, but they can't easily break human belief. If enough people hold onto what they know is real, it creates a reality reinforcement field, like a shield against their changes. They worked through the night, developing new strategies. Lisa trained her security teams to use group consciousness techniques alongside their reality scanners. Daniel set up broadcast networks to help communities maintain shared beliefs about reality. Dr. Burns developed mass psychological reinforcement protocols. Slowly, it began to work. The reality distortions became less effective where people stood together, believing in their shared experience of what was real. The Nexari infiltrators found it harder to hide in areas where human consciousness was strongly focused. But this was just the beginning. As Lisa stood on the roof of headquarters, watching another reality ripple cross the sky, she knew the real battle was still to come. The Nexari ships were regrouping, preparing for another assault. And this time, they would be desperate, because humans had proved they could resist reality manipulation on a fundamental level. "We'll be ready," she said softly, checking her reality scanner one more time. Above her, the stars flickered like candles in a wind that shouldn't exist, and somewhere up there, the Reality-Shattering battle group prepared for the next phase of the war. The enemy was within their reality now, but humanity was learning to fight back, not just with weapons that could break reality, but with the strength of human consciousness itself, the one thing the Nexari couldn't easily change. Commander Eric Turner watched as space folded in on itself like paper being crumpled by an angry child. His strike force had engaged 3 Nexari battleships near Mars, and reality itself was becoming a casualty of the battle. Reality anchors at 40%. Dr. Michelle Rivers called from her station on the U.S. Reality's edge. Her hands flew over the controls as she tried to keep their section of spacetime stable. "We can't take much more of this." Lieutenant John Baker's voice crackled over the comm. "Sir, the Nexari are trying something new. They're not just bending reality anymore, they're tearing it apart." Turner could see it through the view screen. The enemy ships were creating vast tears in spacetime, revealing something behind normal reality. A void filled with impossible geometries and colors the human eyes were never meant to see. "All ships, form up," Turner ordered. "Dr. Rivers, redirect power to the reality anchors. Baker, target their reality tier generators with the phase cannons." The Reality-Shattering battle group moved as one. The U.S. Nemesis led the charge, its reality warping weapons creating corridors of stable space through the chaos. The Quantum Dawn provided cover, its specialized shields absorbing the worst of the reality distortions. "Enemy ships are trying to flank us through different dimensional layers," Baker reported. His tactical display showed the Nexari vessels seemingly existing in multiple places at once. "They're using the reality tiers as shortcuts." Turner had seen this before. The Nexari were masters at using broken reality to their advantage, but humanity had learned a few tricks too. "Rivers, initiate reality lock protocol," he commanded. "Baker, on my mark, fire all weapons through the locked spacetime zones." Dr. Rivers' hands danced over her console. The air around their ships seemed to crystallize as she forced local spacetime to maintain a single, stable configuration. It was like freezing a section of reality itself. "Reality lock established," she called out. "But we can only hold it for 2 minutes." "That's all we need," Turner said grimly. "Baker, fire." The battle group's weapons lashed out in perfect synchronization. With reality locked in place, the Nexari couldn't shift between dimensions to dodge. Phase cannons and reality shifters struck true, catching one of their battleships in a web of focused reality distortions. The effect was immediate and horrifying. Unable to maintain its existence in locked spacetime, the Nexari ship began to fold in on itself. Its hull twisted into shapes that shouldn't be possible, its matter trying to exist in too many states at once. "One down," Baker shouted, but his victory cry was cut short. "Sir, multiple reality tiers forming behind us." Turner spun to see 5 more Nexari ships emerging from tiers in space. They were larger than the battleships, their hulls covered in devices that made reality scream just by existing. "They were waiting for us to commit our forces," Turner realized. "Rivers, can we do another reality lock?" "No, sir." Her voice was strained. "The reality anchors are overheating. If we try another lock, we'll tear our own ships apart." The new Nexari vessels began their attack. They didn't just bend reality. They shattered it. Whole sections of space began to break down, showing glimpses of other dimensions, other possibilities. Turner watched in horror as a piece of Mars simply ceased to exist, replaced by a version of the planet from another reality where it had never cooled after formation. "All ships, emergency protocols," Turner ordered. "Rivers, divert all power to local reality stabilization. Keep our ships in this dimension." The battle group fought desperately. The U.S. Nemesis took heavy damage, parts of its hull existing in 3 different realities at once. The Quantum Dawn's reality shields were failing, its crew reporting seeing multiple versions of themselves manning their stations. "Sir," Baker's voice was quiet now. "We can't beat them like this. They're too strong, too many." Turner knew he was right. The Nexari had drawn them into a trap, forcing them to commit their reality manipulation technology before revealing their true strength. But he wasn't done fighting yet. "Rivers," he called out. The research team talked about something. A way to use human consciousness to stabilize reality. Could we do that here? Dr. Rivers looked up, her eyes wide. "The neural interface network. Sir, it's never been tested in combat. The strain on the crews. Better than letting them tear reality apart," Turner said firmly. "Do it." Rivers nodded and began the activation sequence. Every crew member wearing a neural interface helmet suddenly felt a connection, not just to their ship systems, but to each other. Their combined consciousness created a bubble of stable reality around the battle group. "It's working," Rivers exclaimed. "Our shared belief in normal spacetime is acting as an anchor point. The Nexari can't break reality where we're actively believing in it." Turner felt the connection through his own neural interface. It was like having hundreds of other minds helping him hold onto what was real. The Nexari weapons still fired, still tried to break down the walls between dimensions, but they couldn't affect the space where human consciousness actively maintained reality's proper form. "Baker, target their reality manipulation devices," Turner ordered. "Rivers, have all crews focus their thoughts on normal space. We'll give Baker's weapons a clear shot through stable reality." The plan worked. With reality held stable by human consciousness, the battle group's weapons found their marks. 2 more Nexari ships were destroyed, their reality-breaking technology unable to save them from weapons fired through undistorted space. But the victory came at a cost. Crew members began reporting severe headaches, nosebleeds, and confusion from the strain of mentally holding reality together. The neural interface network was pushing human minds to their limits. "Sir," Rivers said weakly, her own nose bleeding, "we can't maintain this. The human mind isn't meant to actively maintain reality like this. If we don't stop soon." Turner understood. They had found a way to fight back, but it wasn't sustainable. Already he could feel his own grip on reality starting to slip, multiple possible versions of events trying to exist in his mind at once. "All ships, prepare for emergency jump," he ordered. "We've proved we can hurt them. Now we need to report what we've learned." The battle group disengaged, their engines pushing them through space that was still partially stable from their mental efforts. Behind them, the Nexari ships regrouped, their reality-breaking weapons leaving permanent scars in the fabric of spacetime. As they headed back to Earth, Turner looked at the sensor readings showing the damage to local spacetime. Mars would never be quite the same. Parts of it now existed in multiple states at once, a permanent reminder of what happened when reality itself became a battlefield. "Sir," Rivers said quietly, "what we did today, using human consciousness to stabilize reality, it changes everything. We can fight them, but the cost." Turner nodded grimly. They had found a weapon against the Nexari, but using it meant pushing human minds to their breaking point. The question now was, could they find a way to use this power without destroying themselves in the process? As if in answer, another reality tear opened in their wake, a reminder that the Nexari weren't done with humanity yet. The war for reality itself was entering a new phase, and the cost of fighting it was higher than anyone had imagined. Captain Ashley Peterson stood in the ruins of what had once been a Nexari research facility on Europa. Her team had found it hidden beneath the moon's icy surface, protected by reality-bending shields that had finally failed after the last battle. Now she and Dr. Ryan Cooper were trying to understand what they'd discovered. "These symbols," Dr. Cooper said, pointing at the strange markings that covered the walls. "They're not just decoration. They're mathematical formulas. Descriptions of reality itself. The xenotechnology expert's hands shook as he took readings with his scanner. First Officer Nathan Garcia called from another room. "Captain, you need to see this. We found their data core." Peterson and Cooper hurried to join Garcia. In the center of a large chamber, they found a crystal structure that pulsed with dark energy. Reality seemed to bend around it, making it hard to look at directly. "Can we access it?" Peterson asked. Cooper nodded slowly. "I think so. The Nexeri use reality manipulation even in their computers. But," he hesitated, "we'll need to use the neural interfaces to read it. Regular computers can't handle data that exists in multiple states at once." "Do it," Peterson ordered. "But be careful. We all know what happened to the battle group when they tried to use the neural network." Cooper put on his neural interface helmet and connected it to the crystal. His body went rigid as information flooded his mind. "Oh God," he whispered. This is worse than we thought." "What do you see?" Peterson asked, concerned by the fear in his voice. "The Nexeri. They're running from something," Cooper said, his voice shaking. "Their whole civilization is on the move, consuming realities as they go. They're not just invading us for resources or territory. They're trying to rewrite the fundamental laws of physics themselves." Garcia frowned. "Why would they want to do that?" "Because their universe is dying," Cooper explained, still connected to the data core. "Some kind of cosmic disaster in their home reality. They're trying to change the basic rules of existence to prevent it from spreading. Each reality they consume, they use its energy to modify the laws of physics slightly. They're looking for a combination that would save them." Peterson felt a chill run down her spine. "And what happens to the realities they consume?" "They cease to exist. Or worse, they become twisted versions of themselves, running on broken physics." Cooper disconnected from the data core, his face pale. "But there's more. They'd found something special about our reality, about human consciousness." He connected his scanner to a nearby display, showing complex diagrams of human brains interacting with reality. "Our ability to stabilize reality through belief, it's unique. The Nexeri have never seen anything like it. They think we might be the key to saving their universe." "By consuming us?" Garcia asked angrily. "No," Cooper said. "By using us. They want to harness human consciousness on a massive scale. They think they can use our reality-stabilizing ability to fix their dying universe. But the process would burn out every human mind they use. We'd be sacrificed to save their reality." Peterson looked at the data scrolling across the screens. "How long have we got?" "Their main fleet is gathering," Cooper said. "Thousands of ships, all equipped with reality-breaking weapons. They'll be here in less than a week. And," he paused, checking more data, "they found something in ancient records, references to other civilizations that tried to manipulate reality the way they do." "What happened to them?" Garcia asked. "They vanished. Completely. The records suggest there's a limit to how much you can bend reality before it breaks completely. The Nexeri are getting desperate. They're approaching that limit." Peterson studied the Nexeri data core. "So we have a choice. Let them use humanity to save their universe, or risk reality itself breaking down completely when they get too desperate with their weapons." "There might be another way," Cooper said suddenly, his eyes lighting up as he read more data. "The Nexeri's calculations about human consciousness. They're missing something. They see our ability to stabilize reality as a tool, but what if it's more than that? What if human consciousness evolved specifically to help maintain reality's stability?" Garcia leaned forward. "You mean we might be some kind of natural reality anchors?" "Exactly." Cooper began typing frantically. "Look at these readings from the battle group's fight. When humans work together, believing in the same version of reality, we don't just stabilize it, we strengthen it. We make that version of reality more real than other possibilities." Peterson caught on to his excitement. "So instead of letting them use us to fix their universe, we might be able to fix both universes." Cooper finished. But we'd need every human mind working together. And we'd need to understand exactly how reality works on a fundamental level. The captain made her decision. Download everything you can from their data core. We're taking this back to Earth. We have less than a week to figure out how to save 2 universes. As they worked to extract the Nexari data, Peterson's communicator crackled to life. Captain, a worried voice said, long-range sensors are detecting massive reality distortions approaching the solar system. Hundreds of them. The Nexari fleet is coming early. Peterson looked at her team. How much more time do you need? 10 minutes to get the critical data, Cooper replied, working faster. Make it 5, she ordered. Garcia, get the ship ready for emergency jump. The instant we have that data, we're heading back to Earth. Through the facility sensors, they could see reality starting to crack around the outer solar system. The Nexari Advance Fleet was already beginning their attack, testing Earth's defenses. This time, they weren't being subtle. Got it, Cooper announced, disconnecting from the data core. Everything we need about their reality manipulation technology and their research on human consciousness. Everyone back to the ship, Peterson commanded. Earth needs to know what we found. The Nexari aren't just invaders. They're desperate survivors trying to save their universe. And we might be the key to saving both our realities if we can figure out how to use our own consciousness properly. As they raced back to their ship, reality itself seemed to shiver around them. The final battle was coming sooner than anyone had expected. But now they had something they didn't have before: understanding. The question was, could they use that knowledge in time to prevent both universes from being destroyed? Peterson looked back at Europa as their ship prepared for jump. The Nexari facility was already breaking down, its reality warping technology failing without power. Soon, this whole moon might exist in multiple states at once, another casualty in a war that was about to reach its climax. Hold on, everyone, she said as they initiated the jump sequence. We're about to find out if humanity is ready to become the guardians of reality itself. Admiral Jennifer Cole stood on the bridge of the U.S. Nemesis, watching as reality itself tore apart around Earth. The Nexari main fleet had arrived. Thousands of ships, each capable of breaking the laws of physics. Behind them, space was no longer normal. Different versions of reality leaked into each other, creating a storm of impossible things. Status report, she commanded. Dr. Samuel Wright looked up from his console, his face grave. The Reality-Shattering battle group is ready, but our weapons won't be enough against so many ships. Even with the neural network, we can't stabilize reality across such a large area. What about the data from Europa? Cole asked. Dr. Cooper's discovery changes everything. Wright replied. We don't just stabilize reality. We strengthen it. Every human mind working together could create a new, stable version of reality. But we'd need everyone on Earth to help. And we'd need to show the Nexari how to do it too. The ship shook as another reality wave hit them. Outside, they could see parts of the moon existing in multiple states at once. Sometimes full, sometimes broken, sometimes never having existed at all. Admiral, a sensor operator called out. The Nexari fleet is transmitting something. It's in English. Put it through, Cole ordered. A familiar mercury-skinned face appeared on the screen, but this time it wasn't trying to hide its true crystalline nature underneath. Humans, the Nexari commander said, you know now why we have come. Our universe dies. We must rewrite reality or all is lost. Your minds have the power we need. Surrender, and some will survive to see the new universe we create. Cole stood straighter. And if we refuse, then we will take what we need by force. Already your reality breaks. Soon, nothing will remain stable. The Admiral looked at her crew, seeing determination in their faces. They had all read the reports from Europa. They knew the truth, that the Nexari weren't evil, just desperate. But they also knew that humanity might have a better answer. We have another solution, Cole said to the Nexari commander. One that could save both our universes without destroying either. Impossible, the Nexari replied. Reality itself is failing. The mathematics is clear. Your mathematics doesn't account for human consciousness properly. Dr. Wright stepped forward. We've studied your data. You see our minds as tools to rebuild reality. But we're more than that. We're part of reality's natural stability system. The Nexari commander paused, its crystalline form shifting as it processed this. Explain. Cole nodded to Wright, who began sending the data they'd discovered. Human consciousness doesn't just observe reality. It helps maintain it. When we work together, believe together, we can make reality stronger. Not by breaking and rewriting it, but by reinforcing what's already there. Through the view screen, they could see the Nexari ships moving, adjusting their positions. They were studying the data, considering the possibility. Even if this is true, the commander said finally, the energy required will come from both our civilizations working together. Cole finished. Not fighting each other, not breaking reality, but strengthening it. Your technology combined with our consciousness could stabilize both universes. For a long moment, there was silence. Reality continued to crack around them, pieces of different possibilities bleeding into each other. Then Linda Baker's voice came over the comm from Earth. Admiral, we're ready. Every human on the planet is connected to the neural network now. We're just waiting for your signal. Cole looked at the Nexari commander. What's your choice? We can work together to save everything, or we can keep fighting until reality itself breaks completely. The crystalline being seemed to shimmer, its form becoming more focused. How do we begin? Like this, Cole said. She turned to her crew. Everyone, connect to the neural network. Focus on what you know is real. Not what you want to be real, but what truly is. The basic laws of physics, the fundamental forces that hold everything together. Across Earth, billions of human minds joined together. The neural network, originally designed for combat, now served a different purpose. It let humanity focus its natural reality anchoring ability into a single powerful force. Nexari ships, Cole commanded, use your reality manipulation technology to channel our stability field. Don't fight against reality. Work with it. Help us strengthen what's already there. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The reality storms continued to rage, different versions of existence fighting for dominance. Then, slowly, something changed. Where human minds focused together, reality became more solid, more definite. The Nexari ships, instead of breaking physics, began using their technology to amplify humanity's stabilizing effect. A wave of stability began spreading out from Earth, reinforcing the proper laws of physics. It's working, Wright exclaimed. Reality is stabilizing. Not just here. The effect is spreading to the Nexari universe too. Through their ship sensors, they could see it happening. The tears in space-time were healing. Different versions of reality were settling back into their proper places. The moon returned to a single, stable state. But the process took its toll. Humans everywhere felt the strain of consciously reinforcing reality. The Nexari ship's power systems were draining rapidly as they amplified the effect. We need to finish this now, Cole said through gritted teeth. Everyone, one final push. Focus on the universe as it should be. Natural laws working properly, reality stable and whole. Every human mind, connected through the neural network, focused together. The Nexari ships glowed with power as they channeled this massive stabilizing force. For a moment, everyone on Earth could see reality as it truly was, not just the physical world, but the underlying mathematics that made everything work. Then, with a flash that everyone felt rather than saw, it was done. Reality snapped back into proper focus. The tears were gone. Physics worked normally again. Status report, Cole called out, her voice tired. Reality is stable, Wright reported, checking his instruments. Both here and in the Nexari universe, the fundamental forces are working properly again. We actually did it. The Nexari commander's image returned to the view screen. Its crystalline form was dimmer now, drained of energy, but intact. Our sensors confirm. Our universe's decay has stopped. Reality has been reinforced. Cole nodded. And now we know how to maintain it, not by breaking and rewriting reality, but by working together to keep it stable. We have much to learn from each other, the Nexari commander said. Our technology, your consciousness. Together, we could be guardians of reality itself. As the adrenaline wore off, humans everywhere began to understand what they had accomplished. They hadn't just won a war. They had found a way to save 2 universes. More importantly, they had discovered humanity's true role in the cosmos. They weren't just observers of reality. They were part of its fundamental stability. Send word to Earth Defense Command, Cole ordered. The crisis is over. But our work is just beginning. She looked out at the now stable space around Earth, where Nexari ships floated peacefully alongside human vessels. Reality itself seemed clearer somehow, more solid. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and found an answer not in weapons or warfare, but in the very thing that made them human, their conscious connection to the reality they inhabited. The war was over. The age of reality guardians had begun.